going live. Devil Dog 88 going live. Let's have that conversation. It's going to be a good live. I just feel it. Waiting for the Devil Pups to be in. Hello, hello. So we're going to cover a new case today. We talked about this case. We've talked about it, and I think it's a very interesting case for many reasons. Many reasons. And I think the idea is trying to figure out what happened. Like most cases that happen spontaneously, it seems. So we're going to be looking at this case dealing with Joanna Ruth Shields from Carlsbad, California, a 37-year-old that was found unalive at a trail up by the Big Sur area. This was April the 9th, 2026. And I think it definitely needs some attention. So we're going to give it some attention. We're going to go ahead and follow this to wherever it leads. And we'll go from there. So let's have that conversation. So on April the 9th, 2026, Savannah. I'm already got to remember, it's early in the morning. Joanna Ruth Shields, 37, became unalive. Groundsky, good morning. Just getting up now. Good to have you, Groundsky. Just took a trip up to Dunkin' Donuts and picked up some coffee along with some donuts. I'd share with you, but it's kind of hard to pass it through the screen. You know what I mean? Oh, it feels like a good day. I feel like it's going to be a good day today. Thank God it's a Saturday, right? A way to start your morning off. So today we're going to be covering a case, once again, by the name of Joanna Ruth Shields, 37, originally from Carlsbad, California. On April the 19th, she was found unalive, face down in the river at Sykes Hot Springs along the Pine Ridge Trail in the Ventana Wilderness area of Los Padres National Forest. And this was near the Big Sur area. Get your notes ready. Get your pen ready. Because there is quite a bit of notes, even though there wasn't a lot released on this case. We don't want this one just to slip by the wayside. No doubt about it. As a 37-year-old, on April 10th, I'm going to give you the timelines now. On April the 10th, the body was recovered by the California Highway Patrol. They had a special team that sent their helicopter in. And they did this because the weather was not the greatest. The terrain was very rough. This trail is very rugged, if you will. And so they had to send the California Highway Patrol chopper to go in there and literally get her out. Once that was done, then they proceeded to go ahead and take her to the coroner and get all that figured out as to what could have happened. On April the 13th to the 14th, coroner identified the body, literally. Gronsky says she was from Carlsbad, California, near San Diego. Yes. Her mom and dad ran a coffee shop right there at the pier. So she was really known. I mean, she was well known. Very nice person, talking to a lot of people or hearing a lot of people voice their comments about her. She was very, very liked, very nice young lady. So this is definitely, it hit home in Carlsbad. Tragedy that no one, I don't think, seen coming at all. I mean, this was just one of those things where, as a parent, you just got to be really, really hurt that this could happen to your child. No doubt about it. On April 13th and 14th, the coroner identified the body. Literally, they were able to identify the body once it was taken to the coroner, and it was literally Joanna Ruth Shields, 37. Now they're investigating this case, and the reason I picked it because I got it from the very beginning when it first came out. When this story first broke, I got it from day one. So I thought, man, it just seemed like something that we would definitely want to cover. Do we have a description of the hiker suspect? Not yet. I'm going to cover all of that details. I'm going to cover all of it. So right now I'm going through a timeline as to where, what, when, why, and etc. Bill, good morning, Bill. Good to have you, my friend. We are covering the story of the 37-year-old Joanna Ruth Shields, who was found unalive near the Big Sur area up at the Padres National Forest hiking trails. Now, they are investigating this as a suspicious death. And when I read you the information, you'll understand why. This happened literally on April the 9th, is when this happened. April the 9th of this year. So it is pretty fresh. But the details are really interesting. Paige, good morning, Paige. Good to have you. So we are covering a news story right now. And it is Joanna Ruth Shields, 37 years old, found near Big Sur area at the Padres National Forest. It's a trail up in the wilderness. So that's what we're going to be covering. Loki B 67. Okay, we're already going to go with that. I don't have any moderators in here right now. So we're going to pretend and go on. Lisa said hi. Hi, everybody. So this story is really interesting for a lot of reasons, a lot of good reasons. Interesting not because obviously it's someone that's right, it's a sad story, but interesting in the facts and the details that they don't give and the little bit that they do give. Gronsky says April 9th is date assault with medical exam on the 13th. Yes. She was airlifted by the California Highway Patrol helicopter because where she was found was a really rugged area. I mean, they say that this is a really it's not an easy trail. It's pretty rough, and to get her body out of where they found her, they had to literally send a chopper. They were able to airlift her out and literally take her to the coroner's office. The coroner is what normally determines, how things happen, what could have happened. Along with they did a toxicology report. So there is really interesting information here. It caught my attention from day one. So that's why we're covering this. So apparently, yes, airlifted by CHIPS, 870 air unit. That is correct. That is correct. Now, in this case, in about mid-April, they did some media interviews with some hikers that were involved in finding her. Okay. Paige says, I wonder if her friend is a suspect. I mean, I would almost have to say he's got to be the number one suspect because he's probably the last one to see her. But the media interviewed the hikers and they found and described visual injuries, marks around the neck, and a head wound. Now, the sheriff's department was quick to come back and say the marks around the neck, the hikers claimed it was kind of like almost looked like a strangulation. Okay. And the sheriff's department came back and said, well, we're not sure if that's what it was. It could have been insect bites around her neck that left those type of marks that look like ligature marks. Now, she was found in a river there at the trail, face down, and she was unclothed. Now, this is not a, I mean, it's a rough area of trails, but it's not. There's a lot of people, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Not I should say a lot of people. There's people that go there a lot. So, this happened like in the middle of the day as they reported. But they didn't give a definite when this happened. They just suspected it was in the middle of the day, which is really odd because, people do go hiking up there. Just, it's a really rough area to hike. So they found her face down in the water, unclothed. That's how she was found. And the hiker said that when the uh, California Highway Patrol came and they, basically turned her around, to airlift her out of there, that they were able to see she had a gash in her head, literally a gash in her head, and she had marks around her neck. Now, the hikers, they're not obviously experts at anything, so they're just going by what they saw, right? They're just going by what they saw. And they said that they looked like almost like what you would consider ligature marks from like possibly a strangulation. They also said that she had that gash to her head. Okay, so I mean, foul play. It looks foul play big time, big time. That's why they're looking at this as a suspicious death. Ground ski, Sykes, Hot Springs, Big Sur, California. That is correct. And to be exact, at the Padres National Forest. Los Padres National Forest, Wilderness, Ventana Wilderness is the exact spot. Paige says, was she in the water? Yes. When they found her, she was in the river water. Now, the river, I'm assuming, wasn't really deep. It's pretty shallow, but it was in the river. She was found face down. She was found by the hikers, but this is where it gets a little bit muddy. The water gets a little bit confusion here because the hikers had found her face down, unclothed, okay? Now, they also said that they had literally came across an individual who looked distressed. Now, this guy, male individual, claimed that he was with her. Doesn't say anything about boyfriend or significant other. Just says he was with her, and that he was with her earlier, and that later he had found her, and when he had found her, they got separated. So okay, so let me be clear. So this guy who the hikers come across looked very distressed. Okay, and when they talked to him, he said that he was with her. Okay, doesn't say like in how obviously they were probably hiking together, is my guess, but he was with her, and they got separated. They got separated. But he then said that she went to the river to clean herself up, right? I'm assuming the sweat and everything and maybe the mud and everything. So she went to the river to go ahead and clean herself up. Then he said they got separated, and when he found her again, he found her laying face down. So he was technically the first person to find her, was this guy that was with her on this hike. Now, they didn't give the name of the individual. They didn't give any description. They didn't say who he was to her. Down, bandit. Bandit, down. 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 Sorry, buddy. Down, bandit. So the idea that he found her and she was face down, and it appeared like he was in shock, is what the hiker said when they talked to him. Now, I'm not sure. Lisa says, "Did you say unclothed?" Yes, she was unclothed, Lisa. They said when they found her, the hikers, she was unclothed. Gronsky, this happened 10:30 a.m. I'm not sure the time, and everything that I looked at, they just said midday, possibly, but I didn't catch the time. I wasn't able to find the time. I was doing the research last night, so I might have missed the 10:30 a.m., but it happened sometime, mid afternoon or probably early morning, but I'm not sure. Now, the kicker is that, and here's where the cop thing kicks in for me. So he said, and you guys got to follow me on this because it's very important. Mary is in the house. Good morning. We are talking about the unalive woman, 37-year-old that was found unalive at the Big Sur area in California by the name of Joanna Ruth Shields. That's who we're talking about right now, just since you just came in. So here's the things that puzzle me as a cop, okay? That he actually said that they were together hiking, okay? He didn't say they came there together. He just said they were together hiking. Almost like, I'm assuming, and this is an assuming, that he either met her there, I'm assuming, and said, hey, mind if I tag along? We go ahead, hike with you, and just that and the other. I'm assuming. This part is assuming. And the reason I say that is because he states that she went to the water to clean up when they were done. Well, he didn't say when they were done. He just said she went to the water to clean up and they got separated. Now, I'm not sure what the hell that really means, separated, because the reality is, if you know she's at the river, then you're not really separated because you know where she's at. I would interpret separated meaning that in the process of hiking, one got further than the other. You know what I'm saying? And so there was a separation. But he states that literally that she went to the water to clean up to the river and they got separated. And the next time he saw her, she was laying face down in the river, in the water. It wasn't a very deep river. Okay, it wasn't a deep river. It was pretty shallow, actually. But nevertheless, that's where she was found, that he found her. And he didn't get her up. He didn't go grab her. He didn't. It doesn't say that he did or didn't. Okay, it doesn't say that he checked her pulse. It doesn't say that he tried to get her out of the water and bring her to land. He didn't say that. It didn't say anything about him trying to do mouth to mouth or just check if her pulse or anything like that. That's all the information they gave. Okay. Mary Man says, hi, Lisa. Junkies is in the house. Good to have you, Junkies. Lisa, Junkie. So now, the thing that puzzles me is that I'm putting myself in those shoes and saying, okay, me and this girl are going hiking. She says she's going to clean herself up in the river. I and her, there's some distance created. But I know where she's pretty much at. She's at the river, cleaning herself up. Now, this is just me thinking outside the box. She's at the river cleaning herself up. So I kind of know where she's at. But even though we got separated. I'm assuming by choice, right? Because he knew where she was going. The first thought that comes to my mind is when you next see her, she's face down in the water, nude, unclothed, to be more respectful, unclothed. So the question to me is asked, did you check if she was alive? Because I think that if it was me and I found somebody that I was with that day hiking, I wouldn't have just been shocked. I would have ran in the water, try to either grab her, bring her to shore, check her pulse, maybe try to get mouth to mouth because I have no idea how long she's been in there, right? It would, to me, it would be common sense. And I say this because I have done this before with the victim in my line of work in policing. So I would think that I would have ran out there, jumped in the water, grabbed her, pulled her to shore, and then checked her pulse, and then give her mouth to mouth. Okay? Try to revive her. That's what I have done personally in my life before in law enforcement. So I'm just telling you from personal experience, I know that's what I would have done. Okay? But it doesn't appear they gave any information on him doing that. Instead, he was just there in shock, which I can understand the shock part of it. That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense being shocked. One minute you're with somebody, the next minute they're laying there, not moving, face down in the water. Okay, I get it. But what troubles me is that the common sense thing I would think anybody would do would run in there, especially if you were with this person earlier, grab her, bring her to shore, check her pulse, give her mouth to mouth, try everything you can. Maybe the first thing is call 911. Okay, if he had a phone. I don't know if he had a phone. It doesn't say if he had a phone or if he had a signal. But try to get a hold of somebody. Maybe yell. Maybe scream for help. Maybe somebody else hears you, comes there. That type of thing, right? It's just the logical things. But they don't say any of that. They just said he was there. And when the hikers then came over and they were walking through, they found her laying there. So now you have to ask yourself, okay, well, how long did you leave her sit there in the water? And how long was it since you saw her to when the hikers saw her? Because that's important. You follow me? Because what's happening here is I'm seeing two different pictures. I'm seeing him finding her laying there, okay? He found her laying there. He then what? It doesn't say what he did. It just says he was distraught. And then the hikers who actually found her there said they found her there. They called 911. They got a hold of OHP. That's how the chopper knew where to go. Okay. But my point is, once again, why was she taken out by the first person who saw her? Did he not have a phone? Did this companion, friend, whatnot, did he not have a phone to call? So I know there's not a lot of information, but it just makes you wonder what was going through their mind. Growski, sounds like the guy just left her in the water. That's what I'm reading into this. Because there wasn't a lot of information, but I'm trying to put in my common sense and my professional skills into, like, how do I make sense of this? Okay. Lisa says, is the guy cooperating with law enforcement? They didn't even say. They just said they spoke to him, but they gave no name of who this guy is. They gave no details, no description, no nothing. That usually kind of tells me that he's the last person, or he was the first person to see her, last person to see her alive. Probably they're looking at him as a potential suspect, is my guess. Now, they're not saying that. I'm saying that. Okay, they're probably looking at him as a suspect because he was the last one to see her alive, as it appears. As it appears, it may have not been. Maybe there was somebody else that saw her alive, but it appears that the last known person was him. Carol's in the house. Good morning, Carol. And I'm going to say, Lisa, probably cooperating with Ellie. Possibly, possibly he was or is, but they didn't elaborate on that. So it's kind of hard to know what he did. Did he just say, "Hey, I'm not answering questions. Give me a lawyer"? I don't know. I really, truly don't know because they didn't specify. This is not just a backpacking accident. Doesn't seem like that to me. There's some nefarious stuff going on, in my opinion. Carol says, "Hello. How you doing, Carol? Welcome in." Lisa says, "I agree, Groundsky. Groundsky, Garrett Mail is her best friend. Garrett Mail is her best friend." Yeah, they didn't, in the articles that I was reading, they didn't give anything as to friends or she had friends. She had friends in social media. She had friends in her what she did. She was she worked for the Involve Skater or the Involve Skateboard Company. Okay, and when I say work for them, she did a lot of like videos and whatnot, sponsorships type of deal. So she was involved with Involve, if that makes sense. And so she knew a lot of people in that area, in that realm, and she knew a lot of people in the skateboard community in Carlsbad, California, because that's where she lived. Okay, so she had friends. She was a very likable person from everything that I had done, the research. She was very liked by everybody who they talked to. She was very liked. She wasn't kind of like a standoffish person. She was very caring, loving type of person. She had lots of friends, yes. But the person that was with her, they didn't call him a friend. They said a friend or a companion. So I'm looking at that going, okay, it wasn't really established. Was she a friend or was she a companion? Was he a companion? Because to me, a companion could be uh, he happened to see her there and said, "Hey, I know you. You're so and so. You do that, you know, skateboard, whatnot, videos." And she probably said, and this is all speculation here, but she probably said, "Yeah, you know." And he's like, "Hey, I'm hiking up here too. You know, this and that. You mind if I tag along?" She probably said, "Sure. If you can keep up, tag along," because she was fit. She was very fit. So that's how I'm interpreting this as either a friend and or a companion because that's what they listed at, friend or companion. So it could have been somebody she met there, just said, "Hey, let's go ahead and you mind if I tag along?" type of deal, which is understandable, you know, especially if they're both not with anybody at the time. Growski, she had lots of friends. Brenda, good morning, Devil Dog and Mods and Pups. Evolve Skateboarding brand ambassador. Yes, Gronsky, that's what she was. She was an Evolve Skateboarding brand ambassador. Paige says, "Hey, Brenda." So we don't have a lot, but once again, I'm just putting on my hat as law enforcement, trying to figure out what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Brenda, Lisa, big hugs. So now you have this person who didn't apparently, when he first saw her, he didn't take her out of the water. It doesn't appear he took her out of the water because she was still in the water when the other hiker saw her. And I would imagine that if he didn't take her out of the water, he probably didn't check her pulse. And he could have been in shock. He could have been like, "Damn, I was just with her. We were just together, and all of a sudden she's just laying there, motionless." Very well could have done that. It's possible. I don't know if it sounds logical, but it is possible. Once again, we all would have probably done something different. I know for a fact I would have went out there and got her, dragged her to shore, checked her pulse, gave her breath mouth to mouth, because I've done it before. So that's the only reason I say I would. I know what I would have done. But we're all different creatures of habit, and so we can't expect everybody to do the same thing. Okay, so the idea goes to, okay, who is this guy? We don't know. We don't know anything about him. We don't even know what he looks like. We don't even know anything. Does he have social media accounts? Does he have anything? Nothing. We don't know anything about him because the investigating team has made sure they didn't say nothing about this guy other than the basics, the very bare minimum basics. Growski says she talked about e-skating, a way to deal with her own depression and anxiety. Yeah, and I Googled that because I had read that before, that she had dealt with depression. But when I Googled that, the sheriff was quick to say, well, we don't know if she had any mental illnesses or anything. So let's not, how can I say, the way they worded it was, let's not speculate that, she had any mental conditions. There's no evidence of that. But you're right. I did see that as well the first time I was looking at this case, that they did say that she struggled with depression and anxiety. Yes. So, and you're right about that. No doubt about it, Brenda. No doubt about it, Groundsky, should I say. Brenda, Devil Dog, what did I miss, please? I just woke up. So we're working on this case because I had gotten this case from the very beginning when it first started, is when I was introduced to the case. And it is about Joanna Ruth Shields from Carlsbad, California, was found unalive on the 9th on the 9th of April. She was found unalive up there in the Big Sur area. It's trails up there. The actual trails are called the Pine Ridge Trails in the Ventana Wilderness area of the Los Padres National Forest. It's over there by Big Sur Mountains, Big Sur area. So in California. So that's where she was found. She was found unalive. Uh, they're ruling it kind of like they're looking at it as a suspicious unaliving because there's not a whole lot of facts that they're given. All right, other than she was 37 years old. Her family worked in Carlsbad. They ran a coffee shop there at the pier. She was a member of a community skateboard for the company of Evolve. She was like a spokesperson, ambassador for them. So she did a lot of stuff. She was on social media. I did find an account for her on Instagram. They said she had some posts on Facebook. I didn't check the Facebook out, but I did check the Instagram, and sure enough, I found where she's at on Instagram. She goes by Joe JoJo Skates, Skates. That's what she goes by on Instagram. The perp stated to the hikers on the trail that he was a friend, right? But the cop stated that he was a friend and or companion. I mean, he could have just met her there and in the process said, "Hey, can you mind if I tag along?" And she said, "Oh, no problem." Right? No problem. If you can keep up or whatever, you know how they joke around. And in his mind, maybe he considered himself a friend, but the cops stated it was a friend and or companion. So I just want to make that clear. Because the hikers, he may have said friend, but in his confusion of being all in shock, because they said he looked like he was in shock, like he wasn't all there. Okay, like he was just a loss for words, for a better lack of words, and that. So the sheriff said it was either a friend or companion. The hikers did say friend, but it's kind of like one of those things where, you say he said earlier she was in the river cleaning herself up, and then we got separated. Well, how do you get separated when you know exactly where she's at? You know where she's at because she told you where she was going. She said, "Hey, probably going to the river to wash up." He said, "Okay." And then he says they got separated. It just, that part right there just really puzzles me because I know what separation means. You and I are walking, we're going through this trail. I'm going a little bit faster than maybe you, or you're going faster than me. You pull ahead. All of a sudden, I look behind me and I don't see you. And I'm like, oh, she'll catch up or he'll catch up. That's to be how separation happens. It just makes sense to me. But he said she went to the river to clean herself up and we got separated. Now, I don't know how you have those two together. Maybe he was delusional. Maybe he was in shock. Maybe he wasn't wording everything just correctly. It is possible. People go in shock, they do respond differently. So just putting that out there. Lisa, he's going to play the she had depression card. Very possible. Very possible. Brenda says, Lisa, that's what I think as well. Lisa, Brenda, of course, the new go to of Redrum. Brenda, Lisa, you got that right. Gronsky, Garrett states she taught me. Garrett states she taught me mindful forms of art, unconditional love, perspective. Yeah, I didn't see all that. I just did my research, and they didn't even mention a Garrett. But I'm sure you found some information, no doubt about it, and that's great because that helps us out. Garrett, I'm assuming Garrett is the guy because they never released the name of the individual. Are you saying, Gronsky, Garrett is the guy? It is the name of the suspect because they never released it. Garrett states, she taught me mindful forms of art, unconditional love, plus perspective, patience, fears, never lose my sense of exploration or wonder. Gronsky says, no. Who is Garrett? Gronsky, who is Garrett? I'm not sure I'm following. Who is Garrett? A good friend at home. Good friend at home. Okay, got you. So one of her friends from home. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I was getting confused because I thought they never released the guy's name. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, there was a lot of friends. She had a lot of friends. A lot of people in the, like I said, in the community skateboard community. A lot of people in the social, athletic type of realm because she was an active outdoors person. So she did have a lot of friends. Lisa said strange. Grunt said no. Brenda, that is very strange indeed. Good friend at home. Got you, Gronsky. So now they're ruling this as a suspicious death, right? Because in all honesty, nothing's making sense. Nothing is making sense whatsoever. Okay? And why it's not making sense is once again, you say she went to go to the river to clean herself off. Then you say you got separated with her. Now, I don't know how those two can coincidentally happen together. You know where she's at, so you didn't get separated because you know where she's at. She's at the river cleaning herself up. Okay? She's at the river cleaning herself up. So you know where she's at. So you didn't really get separated. She just went to the river and you did your thing. And then when you came back down to where she was at, you found her in the river laying face down. You follow me? So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Once again, you got to always take consideration that maybe he was just in shock. It is possible. It is possible. Brenda, Devil Dog, that can happen at the same time. That's what I'm saying. That is exactly what I'm saying. That's what's puzzling me. You say she when the hikers asked him, he said when the hikers seen this guy, he said I was with her. Okay, I was with her. She went to the river to clean herself up, and we got separated. And then the next time I saw her, she was face down in the water, unalive. I don't know how those two correspond together. They don't make no sense to me. But I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was in shock. But I totally feel what you're saying. No doubt about it, Brenda. Gronsky, he states she was going to start a new podcast. She liked helping others. Yes, she was a very helping, loving person. She from a lot of people that I read comments, they said She was very well liked. She was very much in helping others. She was just a kind, good soul, basically. To paraphrase it all, she was a good person, from what her peers and friends who knew her had stated. Why do the cops seem to always go along with almost any story, almost any time? I'm not sure they're going along with it, Paige, honestly. Actually, to be honest, I think they think this may be, he definitely is the suspect, the main suspect, because he was the first one or the last one to see her alive. They always say someone always knows the person that does the unaliving, right? So the idea is that I think they're not saying anything until they get all the information they want from this guy. And they may already in their mind be saying something's not right. Something is off key here. Okay. Just like earlier with Brenda, she said, I just don't see how those two go together. I don't either. She's at the river cleaning herself up. And then you say, we went ahead and got separated, like one went ahead of the other. And then when I found her at the river, she was unalive. Doesn't make any sense to me, but once again, always look at that shock factor, right? Shock factor, he could have not even been in his right frame of mind. Then again, he could have been trying to cover up tracks on the fly. Just saying. Lisa, why do the cops always see Robert raining in Deep South? Good to have you in here, Robert. Good to have you. Click that like, everybody. Do me that favor. Click that like. I think this case is really going to start opening up as to what they're going to do, how they're going to, what they're looking at, why they're looking at it. There's going to be a lot more information coming out, obviously. So I am staying on top of this. Make sure you click that like, everybody. Click those emojis. Let's get that algorithm going. Gronsky, Gronsky says it states they contacted the California State Parks and Monterey County Sheriff's Office responded. That is correct. That was by the hikers who contacted them, not him, not the person, not the friend or companion that was with her. It was literally the hikers who called that in, and they had to send the chopper to pick her up because they were in rough ground, rocky ground. The weather wasn't the greatest, so they had to call in the chopper to come in and pick her up. Deep South, wow. So that's what's going on there. Now, do you guys understand what I mean? And I think you guys do when I tell you that literally he said she was in the river cleaning herself up. They got separated. And then the next time he saw her, she was unalive, face down, unclothed. It just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. I have my own theory in my head, and it's just a theory, just a hunch. But I'll get to that later. I'll get to several things later because there's something there that's just not sitting well. And that's why I really wanted to look more into this case, because the more I was reading, the more it just didn't make any sense to me. But I'll get to that later. Carol's in the house. Good evening, Carol. Glad to have you. So that's where we're at there. Now, here, the hikers encountered a distressed man who said he had been with her earlier. According to the information I looked up, what I told you is exactly what they said. On April the 16th, 2026, the death is still pending. The unaliving is still pending on a toxicology report and any DNA that they could find on the body. So that's what basically they're waiting. They're waiting to see if there's anything in her system that could have caused her to maybe have a heart attack. She was in great health. Understand that. She was in very great health. But it could have been something that literally she went ahead and took something or whatever. God only knows. But that's what it states. That they're waiting on the DNA and the toxicology report to see if there was anything in her system. Those tests can tell a lot. Yes, but absolutely. That's really where they get a lot of information. Now, moving on. On April the 24th, the Monterey County Sheriff's clarified some markings. So when the hikers first went ahead and found her, and she was turned over by the Highway Patrol police recovery team who went down there with the helicopter to get her. When they turned her body over, the hiker said she had what looked like ligature marks around her neck. Okay, and if you don't know what ligature marks, they're kind of like they could come from like strangulation. They could come from strangulation with a rope, whatever. It just leaves a mark when you become deceased. Now, the sheriff was quick to say, well, it may have not been that. It may have been just insect bites. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't think they even know yet because they had no toxicology report that came in. So they really have no idea to determine was it bites. But the first thing the hikers saw was that they said they saw what appeared to be ligature marks around the neck. And you only get those usually by strangulation, unless maybe it was ants or whatever biting her nicely around her neck. Doesn't make sense to me, but that's what the sheriff's department said. Okay. Now, the other thing is the hiker said that she had a gash on the top of her head. She had a gash, maybe from like, I don't know, either falling down and hitting a rock. It's possible. Maybe she slipped on a stone and hit her head on a rock, or maybe somebody hit her in the head with a rock. Don't know. Don't know. Was it accidental? Was it some a criminal mischief? What was it? Okay, that's where we're at. Gronsky, the Daily Mail, April 21, has details on the neck. Yes, just read them. I'm going for a s'mores iced coffee in a few, but will wear my earbuds and be listening. It sounds good, Paige. So the idea that that's what the hikers had stated was that it looked like ligature marks, and the sheriff said, well, before we go there, it very well could have been insect bites or whatever. You know, could have been insect bites, ants, whatever. I don't know. The information is very, very limited. So that's what I was able to find. Okay. So the sheriff also was stating that it was probably more of that than an actual assault. But the case is literally under what's called suspicious because they can't determine at this point without getting those test results back. Okay, you guys with me so far? Click that like, everybody. Click that like. If you're listening, click that like. Now, as of May 2026, there hasn't been no determination of the death because they still haven't got all that information back. Now, here's some details from the victim, okay? And when I say details from the victim, not that the victim was telling us the details, but what they found involved with the victim. She was face down near or in a river. She had a head injury. She had neck markings. Good morning, DD88 and Chad. Jenny Smith is in the house. Good to have you, Jenny. So we are talking about the unalive of Joanna Ruth Shields from Carlsbad, California. The unaliving of Joanna Ruth Shields, the skateboarder from Carlsbad, California, that was found unalive up at the Big Sur area in the National Los Padres National Forest Trails. That's what we're talking about right now, just to give you a heads up. Growski says, in this particular case, this person tragically had injuries that were consistent with injuries that would be caused by insects. Okay. And that may be so. That may be so, Growski. They haven't really determined that. Yeah, that's what they said. That it could have been insects. It could have been ants. It could have been a lot of different things, or it could have been strangulation. We just don't know until that toxicology report. Because when it comes out, they're going to be able to check to see if there was any biting around the neck. You know, they don't know anything about that until they get her literally checked out to find out, was there bites of insects, was it this or that, or was it a straight kind of marking all the way through. There's a lot of ways to determine that, and they're going to find out one way or the other. Paige says, "Hi, Jenny. Pine Ridge Trail in Los Padres National Forest. Yes, that's where it happened." So, going with the victim details, she was found down near or in the river. She had head injury. She had neck markings. The hiker stated possible foul play. Now, this is the hikers. They're not going to know foul play from fair ball, right? I mean, the reality is that they're just going to go with what they see from what they probably saw in movies and whatnot. Hikers and a man friend was face down. The hikers and a man friend was face down. That she was face. The hiker said she was face down. She was unclothed. I'm assuming she was naked. Monterey County sheriffs haven't given any details. Investigation states markings could have been by insects of or strangulation instead of strangulation. So they're saying it probably wasn't strangulation, it was probably just insects. Once again, unless you're a forensics and unless you know how to do all this detailing, it's kind of hard to know exactly what it was. That's why they do toxicology reports. That's why they do all these different forensics, and they send them to the coroner. They send the test results. Test results come back and tell you exactly what more than likely happened or what could have happened. You with me so far? She was from Carlsbad. Mom and dad ran a coffee shop. Victim was a sponsor for Evolve board skating boards for Evolve. She was a sponsor for them. The descriptions they give are very limited, okay? They didn't even give a whole lot of details on the description. Growski says the hiker was scared, nervous, like shocked, his face just like numb and dull. Right, right, that's shock. He was in shock more than likely. The victim was a 37-year-old, slim, athletic build, long blonde hair, light blonde to dark in the lighting, often seen wearing casual outdoor or skate apparel in public places. So she was an athletic one. She liked to wear her casual sporting stuff. She liked to wear her, what think of a skateboarder. She liked to wear that skater look. She liked to wear casual but yet, sporty attire. That was her niche. So the personal info is that there's no record of a boyfriend or significant other. When I Googled and I checked around, there was no one could report anything about her having a boyfriend or a significant other. Okay. So right off the get go, if that's true, the boyfriend theory is out. Um, she didn't have any children at 37. I looked into what did she drive to the place to the location where she was hiking. They did not give any information on that. There was no threats of reporting in the past. In other words, she didn't report anything to cops like people were threatening her or her life was in danger or somebody was stalking her. Imagine being him and actually being innocent. Yikes, that would be my luck. No doubt, right? No doubt. There was no reports that she had done in the past about any suspicious people or whatever. The only thing was that a friend or companion stated that she went to the wash herself in the river lake found in the water. She was last known. He was the last person to see her alive. The guy was unidentified by the cops, so we don't even know his name. There was no cameras at this trail. None. Zero. Nothing. Now, on her possession, when they went ahead and airlifted her, there was no cell phone on her possession or any type of recording devices. And the reason that's important is because when she would, if you look at her Instagram, she has a lot of pictures of her hiking and skateboarding and doing all this stuff, right? At the beach and whatever. So when you look at her, you see a lot of that stuff. Okay, you see a lot of that stuff. Um, but she didn't have anything on her, a phone device or any type of recorded devices on her when she was found. Growski says, Joanna told Garrett, get off the phone with me and go ask your future wife on a date. Yeah, I'm not sure where all that comes from because I didn't see any of that. Don't know anything about that. Growski says, Joanna told Garrett, a friend, get off the phone with me and go ask your future wife on a date. Okay. Um, no phone or recorded devices found near the victim. Okay. She did have a lot of friends, all in the social connection. States she was well liked in her community. Victim had friends through skateboarding and outdoor recreation. Social media, possibly has a Facebook. I did find her her Instagram. Her Instagram account is Joe and then Joe Skates Skates. If you want to look that up. Now she had 11 children. Let me correct that. She had 11 siblings. She was apparently the youngest of 12 siblings. Okay. Now, it doesn't say if all those 12 came from the same mom and dad or were they like stepbrothers and stepsisters type of thing. Doesn't say anything about that. So we don't know yet because they weren't clear about that. If those were literally 12 kids by mom and dad or was it like or was her dad because apparently her dad must have had died earlier because I had seen one of her Instagram posts where it had a picture at the beach where she had drawn a heart and said something like I will never forget you, you're always in my, and then she drew a heart and then wrote dad inside of that, love you always. So dad could have, her real dad, biological dad could have been, they could have been divorced, the mom and dad. They could have had different kids with different people. So that's not necessarily clear yet. But yes, there is 12 in that family. Bill says an article from KABC News says 16 says it could take 6 to 8 weeks for a cause of death. Yeah, I mean, they were talking about they should have it in 2 weeks, and this was about, well, from when this happened, from when this started. So we should be hearing something anytime soon, no doubt about it. Jenny, I emailed you a new video created by the faithful servant. It's another one. Well done. Only a few minutes long. Sounds good, Jenny. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Appreciate you. Groundsky, wow, that is a big family, no doubt, right? I was shocked when I saw that. I had to read it over and over again. But yeah, 12 siblings. She was the youngest. And like I said, I don't know if, her mom and dad were either separated, divorced, or if the dad had passed away and she got together with someone else because the dad had passed away. Because, like I said, that Instagram post did say, what I told you about, dad, you will always be in mine. And then she drew a heart on the sand and she put dad in the middle and then said in the bottom, love you always. So don't know if he passed away when she was younger, and but that's what they said so far. Yes, that's what they said. They were waiting on toxicology reports. That is correct, and DNA. Grosky says she may have fallen or been clunked in the head. Well, my take to that is yes, it's possible she could have fallen, but I would think she was probably more clunked in the head than fallen. And the reason I say that because if she was an outdoors person, she would have known what the riverbeds look like. She would have known how slippery that kind of stuff is, that mossy stuff. She would have known she had to be careful in the river when it wasn't her. I guess what I'm saying is it wasn't her first rodeo, so she had to have known a lot of these things. Unlike if it was me going up there, okay, then I had never been up there and I was hiking for the first time or just a new hiker at that, I probably wouldn't know all these little intricate things to be careful of. But I would think she would have to have known because she was an outdoors person. Doesn't seem like a clumsy person, just an outdoors person, someone who enjoyed being outdoors in the water, in the trail, on the trail, on her skateboard. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of there. That would that world lost a beautiful person, no doubt about it. Well said, Gronsky. Bill also says there is no threat to the public, but we heard that before. Yeah, that's one thing that always bugs me when I hear anybody in law enforcement say, "Well, there's no threat to the public." Okay, well, you just got a person that was found unalive. Okay, you just found a person that was unalive. You can't rule what happened. By all means, you're saying it looks suspicious, but you're saying, oh, everybody, hey, by the way, there's no fear here. Everything's fine. Nothing to worry about. Really? How the heck can anybody say that? I get it. They don't want to cause panic and chaos amongst people. I totally get it. But my God, don't say the things that you don't know, right? Oh, the public is safe. The public is okay. Really? How can it be okay when you just had a person come unalive in God only knows a matter of what? Minutes, hour, or minutes since apparently the companion or the friend said that he saw her last? I would like to beg different. I would like to say, you know what? You're going on these trails at your own risk. That type of thing. The world lost a beautiful soul. Bill, never hike alone in my policy, no doubt. The trail required many water crossings, says Gronsky. Yes, many water, and it was rugged. It wasn't like it was, shallow, or it was shallow, but it wasn't like it was, easy to do. It was a, from everything I read, it was kind of like a seasoned trail for seasoned, hikers. I mean, it was not for beginners. Basically, it was for people who really loved the love the adventure and the difficulty of that trail. I guess is the best way to put it. So that's the notes that I have. Now, it's not all the notes, but it's most of the notes. But here's the thing, everybody. This is interesting. So, how do you want to go here? But you all believe in coincidence? Have we dealt with a lot of coincidence? I'm just going to throw this out there. First, let me tell you how I think this could have played out, okay? This is just my thought. This is not actual facts. This is my thought, kind of reading between the lines as an officer, okay? So I want to make that clear. I don't want anybody to go, oh, he said no. It's my thoughts, okay? Here is my thought. Just the thought. There's two, but I'm going to give you the first one. This was an overnight hike. Well, for the hikers, it was an overnight hike, Gronsky, not for her. Not for her. They never said about her being an overnight hike or her friend, but the people that found her, it was an overnight hike. So here's what I'm thinking. And you got to look at everything and then try to make that educated guess. Yes, they had done a GoFundMe. The last I saw was 13,000. It's probably up to that. It was for the burial costs and whatnot. So here's what I think is could be possible. Could be possible. This is just my thoughts, my opinion. The friend or companion was with her. She had told the friend or companion she was going to the river to clean herself up. Okay. She's an avid outdoors person, right? So she goes to the river. The companion said, or friend said, they got separated. Well, did they get separated? Or did he kind of backtrack and go back to where she was at? She goes ahead, takes off her shirt, wrings it out, shake it out, wring it out, because she was there to clean herself up. Okay. I've known people to go into the water, rivers or whatnot, and then when they're done, they'll go up there, they'll take their shirt off, and they don't care what is showing, whether they're, frontal or their back or their ass is showing. They don't care. They're just trying to, in their mind, they're just trying to go ahead and rinse everything out. So all of a sudden now, she's rinsing that out, throwing it on back of where, maybe the side of the dry area. She gets off her top or her brawl or whatever the hell, sports brawl, whatever she's wearing, wrings that out. Her shorts, wrings that out so that when she throws it out there, she could go ahead and literally be nude, so that she could really clean herself off, right, of everything, and then go back out, get her stuff that she's rinsed out, and put it back on. That's just my gut feeling, okay? So now I'm thinking she does this, but in that process, this friend and or companion ends up going back to where she's at. Possibly. It's possible. He sees her undressed, doing just what I just described. Somehow they meet eye contact, or she says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he said, "Hey, I got done, and I just thought I'd come track you down and see what's going on." And she said, "Yeah, I just rinsing out my stuff, because people who are out, if you know anything about people who are outdoorsy, it's not like they walk around nude or naked, but they're not, they're free spirited, okay? They're free spirited. They're that kind of stuff that maybe you or I or others would look and go, oh God, she's unclothed. Oh my God, that's just not right. People who are outdoors persons, that doesn't mean anything to them. They're used to that type of, in my opinion, familiarity with it all. So the wringing out her shirt, throwing it inside, wringing out her bra, panties, whatever, throwing it inside, wringing out her t-shirt, throwing it inside, and then go into water and start really literally cleaning herself off. Sounds pretty typical to me, because I knew a lot of people that were literally outdoors people, and to them there was no shame. Okay, just feel me on this. So then she's probably telling him, "Why don't you come on in here," or whatever. And so he gets in the water. He goes over there. He's in the water with her. And one thing leads to another. And then, yeah, awkward to some, but they are free, willing, thinking, hiking. Yes, absolutely. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, maybe he finds the urge to give her a peck on the cheek, say, hey, you look really nice, yada, yada, yada. I'm not saying it happened. I'm saying this is a possibility. Yes, for sure, Brenda. So all of a sudden, he goes to give her a peck on the cheek, and she says, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. I like you as a friend, not like that. Well, what do you mean you like me as a friend and not like that? No, no, you're awesome. I love you as a friend, but not like that. Like like you know sexually. Okay, I like you as a friend, and now he feels rejected. So she turns around, starts to clean herself up, picks a rock up, kapow, cracks her on the head, literally. She goes into the water. He starts to do this number. Why are you a tease? Why do you do this to me? Why are you a tease? She later ends up becoming unalive. Is that really out of the question? I mean, think about it for a minute. I'm just putting my hat on as a cop. I'm not saying it happened that way. Brenda says, Devil Dog, I totally agree with you 100%. Groundsky says, sad. Think about it for a minute, though. You're there. You say she went to the river to clean herself off. You say you got separated. What are you doing? You're trying to signify your story as you were nowhere around her, but you were around her. But you're trying to say there was a separation between you and her, but you knew where she was at because she told you where she was going. I'm going to the river to go ahead and clean up. If that happened that way, I'm going to the river to clean myself up. But then what you don't say is you go backtrack and you come around back and you start watching her and she starts, like I said, taking off her clothes, wringing it out, side, let it, wringing out all her undergarments, put it in the side, t-shirts and everything, put it in the side, and then goes in the water and now she has nothing on, so she's doing this number, cleaning herself, right? Get all that sweat and everything off of you. And then she sees him or he sees her and they're like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I got done. I thought I'd come up here and get you or see where you were at. And she says, well, come on in. I just got a little bit to go. Come on in. And he comes in the water and maybe to him that's an invitation. And then all of a sudden he starts, they start talking. She's like, yeah, I do this all the time, this, that, and the other, small talk. And then all of a sudden he gets close to her and he tries to give her a peck on the cheek or whatever, a kiss or whatever. And she's like, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. No, I like you, but not like that. What do you mean? No, I like you. You're awesome and this and that. If she knew who he was, but I don't like you like that. Well, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. It's just I just don't like you like that. Okay. She turns around, does her thing. He feels rejected, picks up a rock, kapow, hits her in the head. She falls down, gets on top of her, does this number. She becomes unalive. Now he's really like, what the hell did I just do? No one's seeing him because no one's right there. He goes back up to where he was at. He's sitting there thinking, what the hell did I just do? Hikers come by. They see the body. They're like, oh shit, like what the hell? They make a phone, they call right away for help. His plan is not to call for help because it doesn't say he called for help. Next thing you know, they see him. They go, "Hey, what? Did you see anything?" "Yeah, I was with her, and yeah, we got separated. She went into the water to clean herself off, and we got separated. And then when I came out here, I found her like that." Come on, everybody, use your imagination, because that's what you have to do when you're doing the investigation. Sometimes you got to think. Not everything is going to be literally said here. Here's exactly what happened. Sometimes you got to put that thing together. And then you put it together, and then when you confront this individual, you start calling them out on all these things that doesn't make sense to you. Maybe even have asking, would you take a polygraph test? See what he says. If he says no, well then obviously most people don't know they're not admissible in court. But he maybe say no, I'm not taking one. And next thing you know, what are you hiding? I'm not hiding anything. And then hey, lawyer up. And then next thing you know, now they're going, okay, we're not saying nothing just yet because we got something here. Just gotta follow the evidence, gotta follow the path, even though it's a little bit of evidence that they're giving you. Gronsky might not have been able to defend herself. I mean, she was physical fit, as they said, and everything, but if she got hit in the head by some object and that kind of like put her in a daze, well, no way she's going to be able to defend somebody trying to strangle her or whatever, if that is in fact what happened. I'm not saying it happened. I'm saying that's just my opinion, how it could have happened. I could see that happening. I could actually see that scenario play out. Brenda, she may never seen it coming when you're attacked from behind. Absolutely. And so no matter how fit, how good a shape she's in her mind, no matter how good a shape you're in, you're never that good a shape when somebody stuns you like that. Literally, if you get stung like that, and a stun meaning you get hit like that, or you get clobbered by something like that, not expecting it, you're going to be in a daze. Okay, you're not going to be as strong as you were. It doesn't matter if you're healthy or not. It doesn't matter if you're fit or not. When somebody rings your bell, they ring your frickin' bell. Okay, so at that point, you are very vulnerable. Brenda, she may never seen it coming. Very interesting, right? I find this case very interesting. Do I honestly think that he could be the suspect? Absolutely. Do I think he is their number one suspect? He has to be. He's the last one that saw her alive. Do I think he did it? In my heart of hearts, my opinion is it's very possible. It's very possible that he did do it. Just like it's possible that he didn't do it. You know? The idea is that you have to think outside that box and put that narrative together, because you got to figure out that story, what happened. If you just took what everybody told you, right? This is what I did, this is what I did, well, you'd never solve nothing. Sometimes you got to piece those pieces together, ask yourself what makes plausible sense, and then start working it from that perspective. So you said that, this is the officer talking. So you said that you guys got separated, but you knew where she was at, so really you weren't separated, right? You knew where she was at. Oh, well, yeah, that's what I meant. Oh, so you guys really weren't separated. You knew where she was at. Did you ever go back to where she was at? Well, he had to have, right? Because he was there. He saw her laying where she was at, cleaning herself off, right? He saw her laying in the water. So you would ask the question, well, do you think it's very possible? I mean, this is a cop asking, but you said you went down there, right? Well, yeah, after I was done, right. And did you see her? Well, yeah, she was laying there. Okay. How long were you gone away from her? 5, 10 minutes. But you said you were separated. Were you separated? Because you knew where she was at. It was not like you didn't know she was where she was at. Well, yeah, yeah. See, now you're starting to draw that picture, and you're starting to go, something's just not making sense. And the more you keep in that line of questioning, the more then you start asking the question, you know, if you just tell us what really happened, it would be so much easier. I know you didn't mean to do this. I know you didn't mean for this to happen. It did happen. but you didn't mean it to happen. Maybe you just lost your cool. Hey, we always lose our cool. Sometimes we all make mistakes. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. But let us know. Oh, that's all I can tell you. Next thing you know, you hear the infamous words, "Would you be willing to take a polygraph test?" Well, no. Why do I have to take a poly? I didn't do nothing. Well, no, but it just kind of eliminates you from us thinking that maybe you did. No, I'm not taking one. I know how this works. You're not pitting this on me. Okay, now you got somebody that may be defiant. I'm not saying this happened. I'm saying it's very probable. You know why? Because it's happened before. This is not the first time this has happened with other people. This is a common occurrence. Somebody feels a connection, they take the next step forward, they get rejected. Maybe they're in a house, or maybe they're in an apartment, they feel rejected, and next kapow, somebody becomes unalive. It is hard to stand up in moving water. Rocks are slick. That is very true. Brenda, he is the only suspect. And they're not even giving his name because they don't want anything to be tainted. They're not giving his name. They're not giving any type of identifiers. They're not giving you jack. Nothing. Zero. Saying she was the youngest of 12 siblings, very sad. No doubt about it, Bill. Brenda, Bill, yes, it's very sad. Bill, thanks, Brenda. The idea that I would think, if you asked me, hey Chief, what do you think? It's very possible. It's very possible. If you ask me as an investigator, hey, what do you think? Hey dog, what do you think? I could see it happening. I could see that very much be the very first thing that would come into my mind. Because honestly, that was the very first thing that did come to my mind. Once I started reading everything, I thought, oh, this looks like a case like of possibly rejection. Sacrifice denied. Do you have sacrifice denied? Do you have husband? No, I don't have a husband. I have a beautiful wife. Thank you. Um, the idea, the idea that literally someone is going to go ahead, the way I'm seeing this play out, it very much looks like it could be him. Very much looks like it could be him. Now, let me throw you one nugget out there that's a little bit variable that I just stumbled across. And you tell me if it's a coincidence, okay? You guys ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Amen, Gronsky. Well said, my friend. Well said. You ready for this little nugget? Not saying anything about it, just going to tell you just this little thing. Ready? There it goes. Do you know who lives in Watsonville, California? Just say yes or no. You don't have to tell me a name. Just say yes or no. Watsonville, California. Watsonville, California. No. Kronsky says yes. That person has been silent. You know, this person who talked to Sleuth Intuition, remember? Do you know that from Watsonville, California, to this location is only 60 to 70 miles away? Kronsky says, yep. Spool says, nope. The person who spoke to Sleuth, remember, he got upset because Sleuth said, I ain't saying nothing. I'm not talking to you no more. Everything you tell me is going straight to the feds, yada, yada, yada. Don't say the name. Don't say the name. Just know who I'm talking about. Do you know now, Brenda? Spool. Do you know now who I'm talking about? Billboards. Thumbs up. Do you know now? Individual who spoke to Sleuth. No. Man, you guys are making me tell you the name. Okay. Um, the person who said his brother did it. I want us to leave it at that. Little Red B says yes. Don't say nothing more. Don't say the name. I'm just saying. Little Red B said yes. Bill still says no. First name starts with an R. Don't have to say his name. Don't have to say his name. Spool says yes. Brenda, okay, now I know where you're talking about. Okay. Don't have to say a name. Don't have to say a name. March 20th. Yes, yes, I heard about that one as well. March 20th. Suzanne Hall, Seaside, California. So, what are the chances? What are the chances that that's just a coincidence? Only 60 to 70 miles away from where this happened. Just saying. You all know who I'm talking about now. I'm not saying it is or isn't. I'm just saying, what are the coincidence of that? Brenda, 90% a coincidence. I mean, you can't make that up, everybody. And who has gone silent here in the last couple weeks? You haven't heard too much about this individual. You can have dogs out there. You can take dogs to that trail. It is allowed to have dogs up there. Loves trails, loves hiking, loves camping. Yeah. That's when I started piecing things and I started, trying to match things. That's exactly what hit me. Now, the other one, the one he accused of doing this awful thing earlier to someone else, that person lives about from Napa. It's like, I think it's like 9 hours, 8, 9 hours. It's like all the way in the other end. But not this individual. It's only 60 to 70 minutes away, depending on traffic. And then you got to remember it's probably going to be just a tad bit longer because you got the curves and going up the mountain and all this kind of thing. Just a food for thought. Just a food for thought, nothing more. That's why this case is, to me, very interesting because there is some dynamics. Devil Dog has the FBI talk to. I have no idea, Brenda. None whatsoever. Route 1 along the coast is so very beautiful. It is. It is. So then the question becomes, is it probable? Sure. Is it possible? Sure. Is it plausible? Very sure. Or is it just a coincidence? Haven't heard anything about this individual in the last couple of weeks, maybe even 3 weeks, since all of this went down on Sleuth's channel. But all of a sudden, what's happening also with what we're watching right now, currently, who we're covering? What happened to the individual we were covering? Everything got cold. Everything got quiet. Almost like everything just kind of like no news, nothing happening. So what does someone do when they want to bring back that attention? What do they do? Yes, Gronsky, 110%. What do people do? They reignite something else. Very well could have. Very well could have, Brenda. No doubt about it. He very well could have went into hiding. No doubt. Or he went looking for the next opportunity to rekindle this type of spotlight. Because what is the one thing that we have said that he likes is attention. Yes, we got a bunch of cereal Fruit Loops in the house. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Very well could be. I mean, how else do you explain the coincidence? It's just a coincidence. So let's be clear here, everybody. This is just an opinion, but let's be clear here, okay? Spoke said he might be responsible for others too. Very possible. Very possible. This is why I told you this was going to be a good one today. Very possible. But think about this. Think about this. What better way to get somebody who a lot of people know in the West Coast involved with this type of community, lots of followers. What better to get the spotlight back out there again? If it's not about the last person we were covering, we need somebody new, younger, someone everybody likes, someone everybody adores, someone everybody says is a good person, someone that could literally reignite the story back out again. Yeah, very possible, Brenda. See, I'm not one about conspiracies. I'm just one about putting the information together, trying to figure out what makes sense. What could it be? I'm not saying it is, I'm saying what it could be. Looking for that spotlight. Absolutely. Because what does that person really seem to desire? He loves that platform. He loves the attention. He loves to be able to have it. So what? This conversation is gonna, if it takes off, it's not just an average Joe Smo. This is someone who's known in the public, right? This person's known in the public. Maybe not to a lot of people outside of the California of the West Coast, but it's a well, West Coast is a big West Coast, right? California's a big state, biggest state. Let's be realistic. Brenda Double Dog, this is not a conspiracy because Art is not according to his brother. Correct. Correct. I found it so interesting that it just like kind of like shook me. Like I was like, what? And the only reason I even looked at this was because I knew that individual was from California. And then I said, well, I'm just kind of curious. It's like, I mean, it's like right in your backyard. Who else would know that area like the back of their hand? If they like to camp, if they like to anything, fish, camp, walk a dog, it's all allowed there. It's all allowed there. So why wouldn't you go up there, camp out, or check out that area, walk your dog, see who normally comes by there, out in the area. You got to remember this place where this happened at. This place where this happened at is a very rough terrain. It's not for the new people. It's for people who really like a challenge. It's very rough, very difficult. But if you're used to it and you do it and you've been there before, well, you know what you're getting into. You know the right times. You know exactly how to prepare. Just saying, it is very possible. Gronsky, this is a deep dive on Joanna today. Yeah. Art made me feel like he was a copycat for, yes, yes. Gronsky walking the dogs. Think about it. I'm not trying to paint you a picture. I don't need to paint you a picture. It's already painted itself. All I did is just put the narrative together. The picture painted itself. Now, here's another little twist. We don't even know who this guy is that was quiet, that was silent. We don't even know his name. A friend. Who's to say that a friend just didn't happen to be there when this person was there, found the right opportunity and said, "Hey, do you mind me coming with you? Would you mind if I just tag along?" "Sure, if you can keep up." "Okay." I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it's something to think about, something to put back here in your back of your head. Don't lose sight of that. Now, getting back to the original, who I would call the number one suspect, is going to be that friend or companion. All right. We don't even know his name. We don't know what he looks like. We don't know anything about him. Maybe he is that description of that individual. Who knows? What if they come out and give you that description of a person that we've been looking at on something else? Brenda, Double Dog, wow, how come they won't release the name? That's a little odd to me. No doubt about it. They're not releasing the name. They're not releasing anything. Nothing. Right? Right? So the idea becomes this case starts to get a little bit more excited, a little bit more out there, right? Starts to get a little bit more interesting because now the dynamics are starting to get traction. Starting to get traction. It's starting to make sense in more ways than one. It doesn't say who, what, when, where, or why, but it says, is this just another coincidence? So think about the coincidence we had on our first person we're recovering. All these coincidences left and right. The blue car woman screaming, the guy in the back porch, double back guy, the guy, the other guy that was trying to say I'm not a woman, the other guy who said X, Y, and Z, the caller to salute that was making his comments, all those things, the affiliation with the guy from California. Remember him, the guy from California, DC. Remember DC. All these things are happening. All these things. And we can always say, well, it's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. At what point does it not become a coincidence? At what point does it not become something you better think of and you better look at? At what point does it become, man? I mean, I get it. I get it. But the same person lives only that short a distance away? Literally? From this person? I don't know. I don't know if you can really keep saying coincidence without, kidding yourself, in all honesty. And what if the person might have connections to, yes. I would think it would be more than this person wants to keep a story narrative alive. He has lost that lust, that zeal, if it could be him, if it is him. He has lost that lust and zeal because this story is, for a better lack of words, dying down. So because this story is dying down, what do? Well, you stay within the realms of the area, you kind of shift a little bit, you create a new story. You bring it back to life again. I mean, it's just, you got to think outside the box, everybody. If you like the live, please click like, Subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. This is all about common sense, everybody. This is all about common sense, and we're going to cover this story. Click the like, click your little hearts, click your little, send your little emojis, do all that good trash. Do it. Get that algorithm going. Because I do believe this is very, very interesting, to say the least. And no one has said this. You haven't heard anybody talk about this. You haven't even really heard anything. I'm sure you heard stuff if you're from California. And you heard me talk about it when it first happened. Remember, I told you this came out on the Good Morning America. Quite a few weeks later, like a month later or a month earlier. Remember me telling you? That was in the first story first came out. You still haven't heard of hardly anybody talking about it. Well, we're going to cover it. If anything, because Joanna Ruth Shields deserves it to be covered. She needs to be someone who everyone needs to know her story. Somebody did something. I don't think this was a slip and fall. If this was me out there, I would say probably a slip and fall. I could be clumsy at times. Not really, but, just saying. I could have slipped on something. Somebody else could have slipped on, mossy rock or something. That's possible. But if you slipped on rocky moss, you're probably going to fall backward, not forward, right? Think about it. If you slip on mossy stuff, right, you're probably going to slip. You go forward, you got your hands to put down, right? So if you go forward, you got your hands to support yourself. You're not going to probably do yourself in. Think about it. But if you slip and go backwards and you end up falling, and let's just say it was that caused it, well, your body's going to lay flat back, right? It's not going to lay to the front. Because if you go forward, you got your hands as a protection. Instinct reaction. You're going to put your hands down to try to absorb the contact. That's just common sense. But if you slip and you go backwards, well, you're going to end up hitting your head, kapow, and you're going to stay like that. Right? You're not going to turn over into the water. Something to think about. This is what I do. This is what I enjoy. This is, when I say enjoy, I don't mean enjoy when I see people go through this, but this is what I enjoy of the things that I've learned in my career. Is how to try to parse a lot of this out. I don't enjoy any of this. Okay, somebody obviously is suffering, going through a lot of pain. My meaning of saying the word enjoy is to be able to use my knowledge to be able to give and pass it on to others to help you understand how things would go. If you slipped and fell, you would have probably went backwards. And because if you would have went forward, you would have used your hands as literally a support, right? To minimize the contact of hitting the ground, not knowing what you're going to hit. If you're going to hit a rock or just water. Backwards, you don't know what you're going to hit. But backwards, you're probably going to stay that way. So, this case is very interesting to me. Person's young, has everything going for them. Yeah, they may be dealing with a little bit of anxiety and depression, and maybe it was this being in the spotlight of doing the endorsements for Evolve and being the quote spokesperson for Evolve skateboarding. Maybe it was throw somebody out there, and you're like, man, is this really happening to me? Am I really literally so I want to show you something. I wanted to show you something. All right, just bear with me because I'm going to show you. So this is the person that we are trying to talk about. This is a person that we are looking at trying to figure out what happened to her. Okay? That's the channel if you need to write it down on Instagram. And if you go to Instagram, don't hit follow because that person obviously is no longer with us. But you look through all that, everything about her, okay? Happy go lucky. Oops, hang on. My bad. Hang on. Happy go lucky. World's got the world. It's taking the world by storm. Hang on. Just having a good old time, enjoying life at a very young age. It's sad to see people who are just trying to enjoy their life, just trying to, you know, find where they belong in this world, just trying to get ahead. It's just sad. I mean, you can look at minding her own business, literally minding her own business, enjoying life, just really truly enjoying life. And somebody takes that away from her. And somebody goes ahead and unalives her. And that's something that literally it's always the good ones that these things seem to happen to. Always the good people. See, the reality is that everybody deserves a voice. You see what I'm saying, everybody? It just doesn't seem right. Well, she did and she doesn't. She'll do it again when you move like a jellyfish. Rhythm don't mean nothing. You go with the flow, you don't stop. Move like a jellyfish. Rhythm is nothing. You go with the flow, you don't stop. Mm. Crazy. Just crazy. And for someone to take that away, it's just down outright wrong. Coming from a big family, look at people that she inspired, people that probably inspired her.
Look at all the people that she's hanging around with, people that, like I say, could have inspired her to get into this. My guess is she's been doing this for a long time. Finally got a break in life, and then someone just snatches it from her.
So the idea, and what if this person might have a connection? Very possible. April's in the house. I slept in today, just tuned in. My gosh, April, you're missing a good live. No doubt about it. Brenda, when it happens twice. Bill says, April, Brenda, lots of hearts. I have to catch up on this story. Yes. Watch this playback and you'll get it, what I'm talking about. Brenda, big hugs. Hugs back, Brenda. Good to see you all. V Miss, good morning. She loved life. She did love life big time, says Groundsky. Good morning, V Miss. Brenda, Devil Dog, thank you for helping victims to see justice. It's the way it should be, Brenda. It's the way it should be. Everybody should have that due respect of having justice. Wow, so young, says Brenda. Very pretty, says Carol. There's the email if you want to send me something. There's the email. Thank you, April. Appreciate you. Now I remember her. You need to watch this replay when you get a chance because I'm telling you, there's some connections here that may make you wonder. Like, wow, I'm sure everybody here that's been here can attest to that. Whether the darkness delayed recovery, full of joy. She reminds me of Gabby, says April. Gabby Petito, I'm assuming. This makes me so sad, Gronsky. Broken heart, Brenda. Bill prayers. Gronsky, she was cool. April, I have a daughter and granddaughter. This story hits hard, no doubt. Brenda, not too many victims see justice. Not, and it's not right. No doubt about it, everybody. When you see that, it makes you wonder, like, how somebody could do something so heinous, so wrong, so not, just so shallow and all about themselves, for a better lack of words. You know, whoever did this. Now, I'm telling you, I believe literally that individual who said they got separated, and next thing you know, he found her and she was laying in the water face down. I'm telling you right now, he is the number one suspect. He's going to be the number one suspect because he was the last one to see her alive. YouTube didn't like my comment, I guess. Yeah, I didn't see your comment come up, Carol. Let me look real quick just in case, but I don't. Uh, Prayers and love, very pretty. You're right about that. Uh, yeah, that's the only one I see. Is that the one you sent? The one you sent, Carol? Was that the one you said? Very pretty. Was that the last one? So yeah, I mean, it's not here. Okay. So that's the whole thing. Got you, Carol. It's not here. I just checked. Got you. So that's the whole thing. You know, the idea that someone could take a life, a precious life, from someone, and then not get anybody to really look at the story. You know, if these people had lots of money, it is only my opinion. If this family had lots of money, they would have never set up a GoFundMe page. They would have just took care of it. But that tells me when you set up a GoFundMe page, It's because you know it's costly, you know it's going to be bigger than normal, you know that this person touched a lot of lives, so there's probably going to be a lot of people wanting to see her. And the reality is that you're going to need help. That's how you would think, or I would think, that this people didn't come from money. They just probably lived day by day. This young lady probably made her living. Well, she did because she worked for Evolve as a sponsor. Evolve skating boards. I mean, Evolve skating boards, if I'm not mistaken, used to be around for a long time. Always seems the last ones to see the victims are usually guilty. No doubt. There's a reason why that comment is made across the board. Well, yeah, Gronsky, fund me is due to having a large family, but the idea is probably because she's touched a lot of lives, and it's going to probably be a bigger memorial than normal for your average Joe. So yeah, either how you look at it, it's just the idea. They're probably just not as well off as others. As people would think everybody from California is rich, everybody is from. If you live in California, you must be rich. No, that's not the case. I lived there. I wasn't rich. I lived in San Diego. I wasn't rich. I knew a lot of people that lived there that they were just getting by. They were born there. They were raised there. So they live in that little hut or that little thing you call a little house. You know what I mean? But being there says nothing about how you are financially set. Carol, pretty much I was saying we need a tougher laws and more mental health. I agree with that. California is very expensive, no doubt. I know it's very expensive. But even people who are not have people who don't have lots of money still live there. It's where they were born and raised, more than likely. Brenda Growski, you got that right, and then some. Said I lived there. I lived there for 4 years. I loved it there. Most beautiful, right there in San Diego, by the beaches, down outside of Oceanside, driving right up through Carlsbad, going down to Veneta, not Veneta. Anyways, going down on 805, taking the 5 all the way to 805. It was just to 98, 5 to 805 to 94. Takes you right into where I lived, Casa de Oro, which is right there in San Diego, outside of San Diego. Well, she didn't really have any boyfriends, to my knowledge. They said that there was nobody really that anybody could say she was dating or was serious about or anything like that. Um, Basically, in a nutshell, just real quick, in a nutshell, these are just the quick facts. Okay, body was recovered at this location, as you well know. Um, was recovered by the helicopter of the California Highway Patrol because the terrain and the bad weather, they had to flight her out of there. Coroners identified the body as a suspicious death. Uh, the media interviewed the hikers who found the body. They described it with visual injuries, marks around the neck, and head wound. Hikers encountered distressed man. There was a man who said he was with her. Said that she went to the river to clean up, wash herself, and the man said that, or the person that was with her said that they got separated, which really didn't make any sense to me. How do you get separated when you know where she's at? But he said they got separated. Okay, and then at that point, when he went to find her, he next thing he knew, she was laying face down in the water, unalive. but didn't do anything. According to what we've read, didn't do really anything to my understanding. Didn't do anything. He was in shock, but he didn't do anything. And then, lo and behold, some hikers came by and they found her there. They called 911 or their distress call that they normally call. That's what set up the chopper and everything, OHP. And then they saw this guy who was sitting there who looked very, uh, like he was in shock. And they asked him what happened. He said that just like I told you, that, you know, she went to the river to clean herself up. They got separated. When he came back, she was laying in the water. That's what he told the hikers that came through there, and that she had a. And then they said the hikers said that when the recovery team from OHP came down with their helicopter, that when they turned her body over, she had a wound to the front of her head or the head part, and she had what looked like ligature marks around her neck. However, the sheriff quickly said that may have not been ligature marks. That could have been insect bites. It could have been um, just insect bites, that caused what looked like ligature marks. Um, at that point, um, they didn't give any information about the guy that was with her, the guy that didn't really appear to do a whole lot. Now, my thing was that if it was me, and I have done it before, so I'm telling you from experience, I have done this before. If I had saw somebody in the water, literally face down, I would have went in there. I would have grabbed that person. I would have dragged them to shore. I would have turned them over, checked their pulse, started doing CPR, have somebody call 911. I would have done all that because I've done it before. I have literally done it before. So the idea that he didn't do that, I get it. He's not me. I am not him. But the reality, the idea that he didn't do anything, what it appears to be, he didn't do it. I can't say he didn't do anything because I don't know exactly what, because they didn't give a whole lot of information. But it appears he didn't do anything. And so, yeah, it just makes it very puzzling. And then the kicker, see here, Bill, April, I don't know yet. Is it jealous play? Another nugget from Fox and Friends weekend show earlier. They showed the sheriff being asked if they were getting closer to solving the Gunther case. He said yes. It was brief as he was getting in a car. April, Bill, that's great. Groundsky, think that may involve friendship relations. Brenda, Bill, I saw that, and I think Nanos is listening to tell the is lying to tell the truth. Marianne, good morning, Marianne. Good morning. Good to have you. Bill, yes, Brenda. Brenda, Bill. JP says, I'm a freshman living in one of the triple rooms with a bunk bed, and my roommate will not stop. Okay. Well, does it? How did you go there? Yeah, feel your pain there, JP. Feel your pain. Just don't let it put a smile on your face. Krowski, wonder if she may have been breaking up with someone. Very possible, but no one knew she was even dating anybody if she was. April says, could she have been allergic to the bites? I'm allergic to bees and so forth. It's possible. It's possible, but you got to remember this is a very outgoing, loves hiking, loves camping, loves she does a lot of sponsoring for Evolve Skateboarding. She's involved in the community skateboarding down in Carlsbad, California. So she loves hiking. She loves this. If she was allergic to certain things, she sure as heck wouldn't be around them, I would think. She was very fit, very physical fit. She was in shape, so it would kind of like she would definitely know about the ins and outs, being that she's an outdoors person. Brenda, bug bites don't look like ligature marks. I used to be a CNA. There is a huge difference. And the sheriff was quick to say, let's not think that it could have been a strangulation, because that was part of the word that they were saying, that it couldn't have been a strangulation. It might have just been literally insect bites, for whatever that's worth. Lisa, just my luck. We got separated, then you get unalived. Exactly. Gronsky, I have an EpiPen as well, April. Brenda, Gronsky, same here. I have an EpiPen. Bill, are you back on again later, DD? Probably going to be on at 5. Gronsky, I had 5 trips to the ER due to bees 1 year. Wow. Bill, 5 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, Lisa. So that's where it's at. I was just giving you guys a quick rundown. Um, they didn't give a whole lot about anything with the person that was with her, whether it was a friend or a companion. They really didn't specify. They said it's one or the other. Ground, same 5 hours, shots, and monitored every trip. The idea that they didn't give any information about him, they didn't say who, what, when, where, why. They didn't say anything about him. They didn't say um, nothing. Nothing. You didn't get a name. You didn't get my gosh, they gave nothing on the guy that was with her, that claims he was with her, and that they got separated. However, he did say that she was out there in the water, in the river, going ahead and washing up. Wasn't a very deep river, but to say that he was out there, that she was out there cleaning up, and then saying we got separated, I don't know how those two narratives fit. I mean, if you get separated, that's one thing, but if you know where she's at because she's told you I'm going to the river to wash up, then you know where she's at. So you're not separated. You know where she's at. You just go there when you're done, or wherever you're going. You know, um, coffee truck was closed, so I bought 2 plants instead. Gronsky, the person of interest, has a few details. Marianne, hi Lisa, happy Mother's Day tomorrow. Brenda, Gronsky, wow. So it's just the idea, just giving you guys a quick little rundown for the ones who came in late. Um, they're waiting on the toxicology report and the DNA to come back to find out if she has something in her system. They're trying to figure out, maybe she had taken something. There's no known prescriptions, no known allergies, no known nothing that she has. Um, no arrests have been made. They found this victim, like I said. The victim was found face down near the river, near or on in the river. She had a head injury. She had neck markings. The hikers stated possibly foul play, but that's the hikers. Sheriff was quick to say, "Well, we don't know yet." Hikers and a man friend was face down. The hikers are what found her. The man, her friend, or her companion, said at the beginning that he was with her. So he identified himself as being with her, but no one got his name. This 37-year-old was unclothed in the water, so she was in essence naked in the water. Uh, Monterey County Sheriff's haven't confirmed the details. Um, she's from Carlsbad. Mom and dad run a coffee shop up there at the pier. She worked for Evolve skateboarding, uh, kind of like not a promoter, but kind of like an endorser. Like where she would go and sponsor. 37 years old, slim, athletic build, long blonde hair, light blonde, dark hair in the sun or whatever, in the lighting. She loved the outdoors. She loved wearing casual wear, and you know, she was in public photos. She has no record of having a boyfriend. No report of any children, no driving information. Don't know how she got there. There's no car information. Uh, she hasn't had any threats, reporting any threats that were made to her in the past. Uh, yeah, friend said or companion stated that she went to wash herself in the river and lake found in when last known person to see her was him. There is no cameras or on the trails, no cameras whatsoever. When they found her, she did not have any phone or recording devices with her because she does a lot of recording devices for her channel that apparently she didn't have anything with her, which is kind of odd. Distance. Okay, so, and then victim's friends. Yes, she had friends and social connections. Um, yeah, so we covered all that basically. She does have an Instagram. Showed you the Instagram. It is Joe, and then it's Joe, Joe, all one word. Joe Skates, Skates, all one word on Instagram. So you'd be able to find her. She does. They do believe she had made some comments on Facebook. I didn't check Facebook because I don't have Facebook, so that's that. So that's just a rundown. But we covered it in detail, and I gave you everything else. I gave you who lives close by to her, somebody that we have been looking at in the past. So yeah, you got to watch this all to really get the appreciation of everything that's involved. Okay, let's go read some of these. Hopefully these tests. Waiting on DNA. Have we gone? Here we go again. Waiting on DNA, no doubt. Bill, you're welcome. Lisa, hopefully this test will be informative evidence, though, no doubt. Bill, thank you, April. April, Lisa, good to see you. Brenda, Devil Dog, is there any autopsy report? None at this time. They're waiting for the toxicology report and the DNA results to come back, see if there was any DNA on her body. Lisa, thanks, April. Paige says, I was in here earlier but left for coffee. April, Lisa, I came in late, slept in once, lol. Very mysterious, in my opinion, says Lisa. Bill, the world is depressing at times, no doubt. Lisa, that's a great April. Brenda, yes, we do. Sad to say. Bill, yes, we do. Sad to say. What's her last name on Instagram? Skates. 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 It's Joe, and then Joe. So it's Joe, and then it's Skates. Skates. All one word. JoJo Skates. April, there's my email that April just posted. Subscribe. If you like the live, subscribe. Click the likes. Click the likes. Click the emojis. Get the algorithms going, everybody. This has been one hell of a live. I know it doesn't seem like it, but make no mistake. This has been one heck of a live. The twists and turns, the possibilities, the endless possibilities. There's so much there. I gave you a scenario which I putting on my law enforcement hat, I gave you a scenario of how I think it really happened. And I think a lot of you guys were like, wow, didn't whether you looked at it that way or not, you guys were like, yeah, very interesting. I do believe, wholeheartedly that it happened something to that effect. Now, if it didn't, hey, I'll be the first one to say, hey, I was wrong. No biggie. But those are just my opinions in law enforcement. And real quick, just to cover it, I do believe that it is possible that this man who said that she was cleaning herself in the river and they got separated, that he went back around, that he came back around to see her. And it is very possible because people that are outdoors persons do this all the time, that she was taking her clothes off and wringing it, shaking it because she's going to go home. She wants to make sure there's nothing on it, so she's wringing it, throws it up to the side, takes off her necks, her undergarments, throws it out, takes off her whatever she was wearing, throws it out to the point where she was possibly nude. And then at that point, she was able to clean herself off, the sweat and everything off her body. At which point in time, it's possible that the suspect came around the corner and seen her. And at that point, she or he saw each other, and she said, "Hey, what are you doing?" She said, "Oh, I got done. I just thought I'd come find you." "Well, come on in here if you want. I'm just cleaning myself off." You have to understand, people who are outdoorsy people, they're not like shy about their body, whether they're, nude or not, whether they're nudist or not. They're not shy about their body. They do whatever they're going to do because that's who they are. And she was cleaning herself off. It's possible that the guy got in the water with her, and it got a little close, and next thing you know, he went to give her a peck on the cheek. Now this is all just speculation, but I'm telling you from a cop perspective how this could have played out. And she then goes to give him a kiss on give her a kiss on the peck on the cheek, or kiss, or whatever the case may be. And she probably said, "Oh, wait a minute." And he's like, "What?" And she probably said, "Hey," she said, I like you, but not like that." And he probably said something to the effect of, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, I like you, but not like that. You know, you're very nice, but I just not like that." She probably turned around, and he would felt kind of rejected, and saw a rock, picked up a rock, whacked her in the head, possibly causing that laceration to her head. Got on top of her, did the old strangulation move, and then went ahead and she became unalive. And then got out of there and realized, what the hell did I just do? All spontaneous. That's how it could have rolled out. Very possible. I'm not saying it did. These are all just my opinions, but I'm saying it's very possible that it could have happened like that. I can't wait to see what they break, what is going to be found. And then in that process, you know, uh, he's out there standing up there all like in shock of what just happened. That all of a sudden these hikers come by, they see her, they report it, they see him, they ask him what happened, he tells them. So there's a lot of there. You understand? There's a lot of information. And like I said earlier, sometimes you gotta look at the picture. You have to look at it, and you have to fill in the blanks. And it's not because you're saying this is gospel truth. You're saying this is probably a very good, plausible case scenario of how this all happened. Okay, you're just given a possible, because here's the thing. They now take him in and they go question him, right? And he says, "Hey, we got she went to the river to wash stuff off. We got separated. Well, how do you get separated if you know where she's at?" And they probably asked him questions, and he just, he was probably complying with what they were asking, but he was not being maybe truthful. And then it comes to the point where either he lawyers up, or they tell him, "Just tell us the truth. What happened." Could have very well been just something similar to that. Whew, excuse me. That could have been something like that happened. And if that's the case, it's very plausible, because you have to ask the question, why didn't they say anything about, if I find somebody who's laying there, I'm gonna drag him out. I'm gonna drag him to to the dry area. I'm gonna pull them out of the water. I'm gonna go ahead and check their pulse. I'm gonna, do CPR. I'm gonna call 911, or have somebody call 911 while I'm doing all this. There's a lot of things could have been done, but it says nothing that he did anything. So the hikers are the ones who called 911. The hikers are the ones that said he looked very distraught. Well, sure. If you analyze somebody, you're probably going to feel distraught. You're probably going to feel very, like, what the hell just happened, you know? And, you know, because she was fit and she was in shape, yeah, that's great. But when you get clucked over the head, possibly with a rock or something, you get clucked over the head, guess what? Doesn't matter how shape you're in, you are not able to fight back. And it's very possible that he did this number to her. And at that point, that was all she wrote. So there's a lot of there's a lot of information there, and yet a lot of it is, some of it is speculation, and a lot of it is just common sense. Okay, you just got to be able to bridge that gap. So that's pretty much in all, but we are going to cover the story. We will finish talking about this later today, 5 o'clock, but you really have to watch this if you didn't watch this first part, because I'm telling you, I think it's pretty damn interesting, if I say so the least. Lisa, Bill, it is depressing if you think too long about it. Brenda, Devil Dog, thank you, because that will tell everything, no doubt. Okay, I got her Instagram up. Private, darn it. No, it shouldn't be private. It shouldn't be private. It should say you should be able to see all the pictures, because I looked at all the pictures just a second ago. Let's see. Let's see. Uh, yeah, this is what it should look like, Paige. That's what it should look like. And if that's what it looks like, that's who it is. That's the person we're talking about. And then if you scroll up, you'll see all her videos and all her pictures and whatnot. You just got to scroll up. It shouldn't be private. If it is private, it's not the one that I'm looking at. Bill, okay, so agree, Lisa. I can see some skateboarding pics. Uh, I reached out to my old sponsor this morning, Lisa. I simply thanked him for helping me 16 years ago, Easter 2010. April, found with no clothes and suspect. Right. It's very suspicious to me. No doubt about it, April. Brenda, Devil Dog, sorry to say there are a lot of sick people out there, and we have to watch our six all the time. Amen, Brenda. No doubt about it. Lisa, yes, April, but who did it is the problem, in my opinion, of no doubt. Brenda, April, if she was washing herself, you wouldn't be wearing clothes. Pretty, I mean, yeah, no doubt about it. And you have to understand, a lot of people, outdoors people, they're like that. They're bad people because they go and they get in the nude and they watch. No, they just, that doesn't mean anything to them. They could walk around naked and it wouldn't bother them a bit. Whereas in maybe others, they would be like, oh, what are they doing? Some people just don't care about those things. Hey, Bill, me buying flowers and coffee helps 100%. It's a great day to be alive, says Paige. April, Brenda, but a guy was with her. Just wonder if she was, right? Thank you, Bill. Bill, the Big Sur area is a high end place to be, just like the Catalina Foot. Oh, no doubt. It's a very expensive, high place to be. No doubt about it. Well said, Gronsky. Lisa with the flowers. April, after committing the act, the suspect would show shock from what he's done, in my opinion. Very possible. No doubt about it, April. Very possible. Brenda, April, think about it this way. Say she is a nudist. They are not shy showing off their body. They really don't think there is danger out there. I used to be one, but not no more. Lisa, why would her friend do it to her? Any ideas or info? We don't really know how of a close of a person this was as far as a friend, or as the sheriff put it, is was he a friend or was he a companion? Just somebody she met there. Very well could have been somebody she met. somebody that recognized her in her Instagram, or recognized her as as a for better lack of words, I don't want to say YouTuber, but from social media, and said, "Hey, you're so and so," and blah blah blah. Could have been somebody that just said, "Hey, you mind if I tag along with you?" And she said, "Oh no, no problem. As long as you can keep up." And that's maybe the friend theory or the companion theory. So we're not really sure, to be honest. So we're not even sure if they were friends. He just said he claimed he was her friend, but that's it. But we don't know if it was even her friend. Where was the help? There was none at the rock to the head. Gronsky, Brenda, Lisa, cause of rejection mainly. Maybe her other friend at home was jealous. Possible. Okay, gotcha, Brenda. Yep, April. Yeah, Brenda. Anything's possible. I am just throwing my theory out there. Gronsky, yes. Brenda, April, you're good. Bill, see you later. Enjoy your day, everyone. You got it, Bill. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Lisa, okay, I'll spell it wrong. Thanks, dog. Okay, got you. Good deal. Brenda says, April, same here. I got it now. Thanks, Dee Dee. You're welcome, Bill. April, I have Facebook. I will see if she is on it. Brenda, April, sometimes I might be able to help if I can. You're good, Brenda. No doubt about it. April says, Brenda, yes. AJ is getting ready to search in a few minutes. He's returning to the bone this morning. April, thanks, Lisa. Lisa by Bill Gronsky. She likes to travel with friends, but he sure was no friend. No doubt about it. Brenda, Lisa, hopefully it's not so they can examine it. Take care, Bill. Enjoy the day. Have a good one, Bill. Lisa, you're very welcome, April. So, everybody, that's pretty much it on the live. I just want to say thank you for spending this morning with me. Probably going to come out at 5 and re-continue with this story. This is the story we are going to be covering. If there's any other news coming out about Nancy, I'll definitely bring it up. But this is a story that's going to be the one that I think there's a lot of things going on here, a lot of things that are going on here. But if you missed the beginning and you missed this whole or most of the episode, you really want to watch it because yeah, there's a little bit more info in there that you'll be able to hear us talking about. Um, but other than that, you guys have a good day. I'll see you guys later. With that, appreciate every one of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you very much, dog. You got it, pays. This was a good live. You bet it was, Gronsky. No doubt about it. Bye, chat. There, April posted the email. All right, everybody. Like I always say, it's all common sense. Everything is common sense. Let's share this video. Let's share this video to others. Let's share our channel to everyone out there. Let's make that happen. With that, everybody, it's all common sense. Semper Fi.